Listen now live on a Tuesday, and we got 2 words for you. No, not the Generation X, D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans has 2 words for you. Word number 1, urgency.
With Sesame Street up in here, urgency.
Nice to see the guys come back refreshed, seeing them bounce around today in our practice. It was good to see it, feel the energy from the guys, also feel the sense of urgency from all of us. And that's what's needed at this time. And I mean, everybody's excited to be back out on the grass practicing. Like, we got our much needed rest, and now it's time to get back to work, which we're excited about.
All right, and you can tell he's really excited. The urgency, I mean, I think that's the only approach they should have. I think maybe that approach could have maybe been on display during the last stretch of games, but that's neither here nor there. That's the situation that they're in. So urgency is very, very important for this squad. It'll be interesting to see if they actually have it when they step on the field against the Dolphins.
What's the most urgent thing for them right now? Is it just locking up the division, taking care of their business from that standpoint, and then just figure out where you stand in the AFC after that? Because that's, to me, feels like the most urgent thing for them. The longer this AFC South lingers around, and look, the Colts can handle it for you because if they lose 2 straight, boom, you're in regardless of your results. But it feels to me like, as far as the most urgent thing for them, get rid of this AFC South thing, win the division, and then start figuring out where you are in the pecking order of the AFC.
Yeah, I think this week is urgent because I don't think you're gonna depend on beating Baltimore or Kansas City. It can happen. You can easily split those games. Um, but this week you have the advantage over Miami. You're rested. Like, you're a rested squad. Like, all we've heard about is this tough stretch, and we have all this. The 10 days, like, that means nothing in game one. Game one, you have the biggest advantage. I know we've taken game 1 through 3 and said, oh, a 10-day stretch. Game one, that's not the case. Like, game one, that's not the case. You can say that when you play Baltimore. You can say that you've played this many games in this many days, and you can say that you have one less day when you play Kansas City. But the thing about this is you have the advantage. You are rested. They just got out done with a battle against the Jets in New York. So all this talk about 3 days and 10, it's not like it starts game one. Game one, you have the advantage. So you have to take advantage of that opportunity. Now, with that said, you also have the Colts who have the Denver Broncos. And you called this, you rolled your eyes at it. I think it was Pendergast or whatever who tweeted out that the Colts were favored in the rest of their games. And I just took his word for it because I thought he was a gambling guy. But you said, man, that's not going to happen. There's
No.
no way they're going to be favored against Denver, and they're a 4-point dog
Yeah.
against the Broncos and Sean Payton and company. They're coming off the bye as well. But I think when we talk urgency, it's this opportunity because you have the advantage of rest against the Miami Dolphins, and this is your most important winnable game that you have to win. That game against the Titans has to either be a massive opportunity to somehow, and if you look at Pittsburgh's next 3, it's also kind of crazy because they got Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Baltimore too.
Mhm.
That you replace what the Texans got minus the quicker stretch, but they got a tough task. They got Philadelphia, who's playing some of the best ball in the league right now. They got them, so that's
And
a
by the
tough
way,
3-day
Landry,
stretch.
they're on the same stretch that you are, like without the bye week. They played last week, and then they're the Saturday, Wednesday opponent as well.
Yeah,
Like, they play the
so
Ravens, then they play the Chiefs on Christmas. So they got the same stretch. So you got to take care of business against Miami to have
period.
any sort of hope or desire to not be the 4 spot. And that may take care of itself. Pittsburgh may take care of their business, win some games that maybe they're not going to be favored in or aren't expected to win. And the Texans may lose the Baltimore or the Kansas City game, and that may take them out of that conversation when it comes to the 3 as well. But you can't worry about any of that if you don't handle your business against Miami. And I would go as far as to say, within the game in Miami, we talked about it yesterday. We all watched it this past weekend. There's a lot of teams that make it look easy on offense that didn't just come off of a bye week where their offensive coordinator got a week to kind of exhale, relax, figure out what's working, figure out what's not working, and try to exhibit it. This is not an incredible defense that you're going up against this week with the Miami Dolphins. They let Aaron Rodgers turn back the clock and look like Green Bay Aaron Rodgers this past week. So you should have an opportunity to finally kick somewhat into gear with your offense. And if it doesn't show up out of this bye week against Miami, that the urgency for it to show up, if it doesn't show up, it may not ever show up.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like a mental thing. Like whenever stuff is going wrong, and whether it's true or not, if you just like assign a reason, like let's say that you change something and then you assign a reason and all of a sudden you get better results, then you can convince yourself that the way that you're performing post change is the way that you were supposed to be performing. I think right now that the Texans are kind of hanging their hat on, and I don't know what D'Amico's saying behind the scenes, and it's damn sure not proportional to what he says to us when we're up there. But I think they're really leaning on, we really needed this bye week. Oh my God. Like we needed this so bad. Oh my God. Like we haven't had a break since the Hall of Fame game. And they're correct about that. That probably sucks. And I know that was a hell of a stretch. But if you say all that and then you go out there and you look against the Dolphins like you did against the Titans, like you did against the Jets, like you did the second half against the Lions, then you kind of lose that thing that you're hanging on to like encourage you that everything's going to be all right and you're close to your thing. So I think mentally it's also important. It's also important to take advantage of the opportunities you get. Like when Buffalo doesn't have Shakir, like take advantage of that. When they're depleted, beat them. And that's they've been able to do that at certain times at this point, but you got a big advantage against Miami. You can make a case that they got a decent advantage over Baltimore because Baltimore's having to travel there on a Wednesday. I know it's like a grueling thing, but I would think, and we've seen it in Thursday night football a lot. This is Wednesday football from Saturday, which is, I know it's the same amount of days, but
It
it's
feels weird.
weird.
It feels
It's
weird.
weird. It's weird.
You,
So
and
like
you've been on this all year long about the change up in guys' schedules. It's one thing to handle normal. Hey, it's Monday Night Football. I've played on Monday Night Football. If you're Joe Mixon, if you're Daniil Hunter, then you kind of get the guys ready. Hey, it's Sunday Night Football. Hey, we played on it earlier this year. Let's play on it again. Everybody's always played on a Thursday night game. These guys don't really ever play on Saturdays, and they probably I wonder how many guys have ever even played a football game on
never,
a Wednesday.
never.
Like even going
Unless it's
back,
like a random ass bowl game, like a random ass
well,
bowl game,
a
maybe.
bowl game maybe, or maybe like a JV game or freshman game back in high school, but like playing football on a Wednesday, just that's not a real thing throughout
Yeah.
most of your football life. So that's very different as well.
Well, you throw in that they're traveling to you. Like
Yeah.
I like this 10-day stretch. First of all, I think you should get yourself in position to where you don't even have to partake, but like to where you wrap up the division and you can rest up. But like this notion that it's just like some sort of crazy thing, you're at home. Like it's
Yeah.
not, and they're doing the same thing that you're doing. Like Baltimore's literally doing the exact same thing you're doing, except they're having to on Christmas too, by the way. And I know that we just think these athletes just, hey, let's go play on Thanksgiving, let's go play on Christmas. They are having to leave their families with a crazy ass schedule. They got kids and stuff. They got stuff going on and they're
They get
going
no
to another
Christmas Eve.
city to play Houston. So this notion that this is like a bad stretch, and I get it, it's not ideal when you just look at it. You have the advantage against Miami coming off the bye,
Yep.
and then Baltimore's traveling to play you on Christmas. So let's like it's really not it's not easy, and they're good teams that we're talking about. I think Miami's still a good team. I don't consider them a bad team. And I think the matchups are interesting, but like this this whole 3-10 is just I think it's just kind of it's I think you should avoid it like if you can, but like this notion that it's like just stacked against the Texans is not true. It's not true at all. They have the advantage. They have a clear advantage in two of those games.
Yep.
Clear advantage.
Clear advantage. And that goes back to the one of the words of the day, urgency. Take advantage of the advantage that you have on Sunday when the Miami Dolphins, off of a tough defense that they played, having to play into overtime, win in overtime, they come to visit you off the bye. Take advantage. Take advantage.
The
That was the
next
first
word of the day. The word of the day is, I got a little Sesame Street. You can tell I got a 1-year-old. The word of the day is strength. D'Amico Ryan says that the Texans need to their strengths. They know what their strengths are. Now, Kunkel asked him the question, and then I think he might have just started gelling his hair or something like that, because D'Amico said we need to lean on our strengths. And Will Kunkel, despite being a proud alum of Northwestern and one of the best broadcasters in town, he didn't ask him what the strengths were after that. What are the strengths? I'm going to ask you, Cody Stoots. And I'm gonna reenact what Will Kunkel should have did after he sat there and started taking selfies of his pretty face as D'Amico was speaking.
All
And
right,
I'm
so
gonna ask a follow-up. What are your strengths?
so you've asked the question. You're Will Kunkel. This is what D'Amico Ryan says.
Year, your team kind of morphs into you have an idea of how you want to play, but you kind of see like, okay, who are we at this point, right? And we got a really good feel for who we are, and we just have to continue to lean on who we are, make sure we accentuate the strengths of our team, and continue to lean heavy in those areas of our strength.
Okay.
Hey, Coach. Hey, I thought you were going to
Hey,
jump in there like you were
Aaron,
Kunkel.
be quiet. Shut up. I'm asking. So, Coach, what do you think are your strengths? You said you wanted to lean into, and what would you say your strengths are as a football team? And I'm asking you, Cody Stoots, and we'll get into what we think D'Amico thinks. But what are the strengths of the Houston Texans football team?
That they play sound defense with an emphasis on getting after the opposing team's quarterback and disrupting the opposing team's rushing attack with their front seven. And they are a run-based offense that has a quarterback that can make enough throws. Like that's what their strength is. Like on any given week, CJ Stroud can make enough throws for you. Joe Mixon's a monster at the running back position, and they can dominate an opposing team with their defensive line. That's what their strength is. I don't know if they fully understand that is what their strength is, but that's what they are. And that's what they've showcased more often than not throughout the course of this season.
Yeah, I think that their strengths are they have a really, really good defense, and they have alphas on offense that are able to overcome certain situations and produce at an elite level. Talking about Nico Collins and Joe Mixon. That's what I would say the strengths are. I don't think they have like any identity on offense. I mean, like if I tried to point out a strength on offense, it would. I mean, you remember when we used to roll our eyes when Bill O'Brien would say it's a week to week league. It's a week to week league. It really is with this offense. Like I don't know. I don't. I don't know what you can rely on each time, but I would say the strength is definitely the defense. And then your guess is as good as mine when it comes to the offense. Hopefully, CJ's rested and ready to go and ready to do his thing.
They have not imposed their will as an offense for an entire game basically all season long. I mean, the Colts game to start the season was pretty successful. They ended up with probably a few more field goals than you would want, and then they finished strong with the points there in the fourth quarter. But this was supposed to be a dynamic offense. This was supposed to be an offense that could take over games and that gets a big lead, and then the pass rushers get unleashed. And instead, the pass rushers are having to hand the game back to the offense with hopes that they can get into Kaimi Fairbairn's field goal range and then not take a sack to get out of field goal range. Like that's a big step down from their expectation. But you mentioned the alphas. They've got as good a chance as anybody if they show up and CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, and Joe Mixon all have a good day at the same time. Like if all three of those guys have a really good day at the same time, you could beat most anybody that you're going to face. The problem is getting all three of those guys to overcome the 8 other guys on offense and have that big day.
I agree. Song of the day, Lean on Me. He says they need to lean on the strengths. What does that mean? Does that mean run the ball more?
That
For the
does mean run the
defense?
ball more. That does mean run the ball and let the defense take care of business. That's what it means.
Oh man.
Like the what's the best thing that could happen to this team from a offensive confidence standpoint is basically Tampa Bay from last year, right? CJ comes out, everybody's involved on the offense, everybody's getting fed, 400 passing yards. The Dolphins aren't stopping him. He's zipping it past Dolphins DBs right into guys' hands. They're actually making the plays. Like, confidence-wise, if they came out and everything was clicking through the air, like, that'd be great for this team. But I think they're going to turn around, put it in Joe Mixon's belly, and let him kind of operate things and just kind of matriculate themselves down the field, play some good defense. They are very comfortable, despite having lost a few close ones. They're very comfortable playing for a close game.
Yes.
They are very comfortable playing for a close game, and they've played in enough close games that they should be pretty comfortable in a close game. Like, there shouldn't be any sort of they shouldn't tighten up. So they've played enough close games, but they're comfortable in a close game, and they're comfortable organizing things to be a close game, which is unfortunate because I would hope that they would organize things to, smoke the other team when they get an opportunity. And they've had a couple moments where, hey, you may hit this play, and things sort of would take off. They just haven't made a lot of those plays.
Just wish, it would be nice to have like a two-piece combo at least. Like at least give me a two-piece. Like right now it's just like a la carte because it's all Joe Mixon. Like there's no multiple elements like to run the ball. Like for me, like my favorite thing is like when Philadelphia is just completely wearing you down with Saquon, and then they like bring in Gamewell, and it's like, oh well, that's a little bit of a change up. That looks a little bit different. Like it's just it would just be nice to have multiple, like, because I think Mixon's capable. He's an absolute dog. He's one of the top running backs in the league right now, and he is the mindset that you want everyone in the locker room to have. But it's just a lot to ask, and I just wish there was like some sort of change of pace or some sort of like different element that they had at the running back position to where you had multiple options and multiple things that you could do. But here we are. Anyway.
Well, what, Damian Pierce can't get going?
All right. So I have a question before we get out of here, and I want to ask you: am I simping or am I pimping? And
Okay. All right, simping or pimping.
so, and I don't know why, but for some reason, the last couple days, Stoots has been playing a lot of Jay-Z, like between, and I don't know what the deal is with him. So I have no
Buddy,
idea what's going on with that.
See, this is the thing.
Pimping.
You can't be convincing everybody that I'm a square and then act like I'm up and up on the rap game. I only know one Jay-Z song.
No, I'm saying for some reason, you've been a big Jay-Z guy the last few days. Maybe it's a Tony Busby beef. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on there. Have you seen that, by the way? I am not acknowledging that one. I am not like, I'll acknowledge it here. But as far as Twitter and stuff, that is, I mean, we covered the Watson, and Tony Busby is not one to be messed with. That Jay-Z Tony Busby is a whoa.
That's going to be a fun little war of words. And you know what it is? Now it's playing out in public. It didn't have to, but now it's playing out in public because they took a shot at Tony Busby and he's ready to go back at him.
Oh my God. I digress. But I have an observation, and this might be me being a simp, but I want to ask you, and I want to ask the people. When you watch college football, does it not feel like for whatever reason, these offenses are just more organized? Like the good teams, they're more organized, they're more comfortable playing fast, they're more comfortable in hurry up situations, they're more comfortable when it's a 8-point game or an 8-minute game and it's 2 possessions. And I know the NFL, the defenses are way better, but why is it that the college offenses, especially at the elite level, they just seem so much more organized? Am I just watching the Texans too much, or is that a real thing?
Man, I think we got a little spoiled with some of the games that because I still see like mid-level teams and bad teams are still disorganized, not put together, but it felt like there was a really solid level of coaching with some of the better teams in college football this year. And then offense just feels like it's never been easier at both levels, college and the pros. So
Not
it
everywhere.
right. That's our chief concern here with Houston is everything looks hard. Like it just even Bill O'Brien had stretches where stuff looked easy, but there hasn't been a lot of stretches of, man, that looks easy to get the ball out of CJ's hands into people's hands like that. I tell you who does a really good job of making things look easy is freaking Oregon. I mean, obviously they got talent out the wazoo and they got a quarterback that's played a ton of football, but and that
Feels
makes
like
stuff
that's been the case for a while.
that makes stuff look super easy in Oregon. And look, I mean, you look around where some of these guys came from that are running offenses across the league. Yeah, going and picking somebody's quarterback coach, that's one opportunity. That's one way to do it. Going and snagging some college guy is also something that you can do. And I mean, Liam Cohen, who was at Kentucky, is a guy that he's coaching the
Damn,
offense.
you're replacing Bobby already?
I mean, come on, aren't you?
I mean, damn. This is the second episode we've had post-bye, and we've tried to replace Bobby with Josh McCown yesterday, and now today we're going to college. I mean, can we give him a chance to bounce back from the bye week?
Well, if he doesn't, we got to start putting a list together. I want the next Todd Monken. I want the next Liam Cohen if they're going to go that route.
By the way, you don't know just one Jay-Z song, and I'm not a Jay-Z fan. You know more than one Jay-Z song. Let's be serious.
I know Big Pimpin'.
Yeah.
Empire State of Mind.
There you go. Yeah.
I know two. I know two.
What's the one with Kanye? Can you say that what's the one with Kanye?
Paris.
Yeah. What's the full name?
It's just called Paris.
No, like the real name. Do you know?
Yeah, it's just called Paris, isn't it?
Okay, there you go. All right.
Oh wait, didn't he do did Kanye and Jay-Z did an album together, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard some of those.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, you said one. You made yourself look like even more of a honky than you are. You said Paris, right?
Yeah, isn't that the name of the song, Paris? Yeah, it's Paris. It's and then there's like a What You Need song or something like that it's the combo album they have. Some guy used it as a walk-up for a baseball song back in the day, and I was like, that's a good song.
Sure,
I Shazammed it. Show you how
there you go.
Musically challenged I am.
That was a good app. All right, man. So
Still
we're
around.
back at it today. Yeah.
Still around.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't die. So we're back at it today. Cody Stoots going to be on the scene doing road work, filling in at the mothership top station in the country. Still the Texans content. Still 3 videos a day. Still all over stuff, and still on all podcast platforms from Apple to Spotify, and subscribe to the SNL channel. I think we're almost at 1.2K, and today marks, I think, a week since we started this thing. So appreciate y'all for coming through. Subscribe, like, right
4
along.
o'clock today. Yes, 4 o'clock today, live. And I love the discussion we're going to have at 4 o'clock today. Just it's going to be CJ Stroud centric and a big opportunity that he possesses here in these final 4 games in the playoffs. And I'm very excited about having that conversation at 4 o'clock today.
Hashtag me too. Cody, appreciate you very much. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's not how it. Anyway, go on. I'm going to go listen to Paris now.
Okay, subscribe, like, right along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks, everybody.